Hello and welcome to Do It Yourself Musician. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Otari MX55T-M that I bought at auction a few weeks back. We're going to be doing the transport alignment procedures. This is section 4 in the manual right there, 4.2 transport alignment procedures. This is not the audio alignment that you would typically do on a tape machine every time you used it for a session. This is more of the type of thing you do after you bought a machine and you set it up the first time. Since that machine's unknown to me, I'm just going through all of the setup procedures in the manual, so that's what's in this video. So here we go. Wow, she's dusty and smelly. You. It's like the first thing I'm gonna have to do is clean in there. So let me see if I can get you up here closer. That's what we're dealing with. On the surface, it doesn't look too bad. So let me take a look around in here and see if I can find anything wrong or not. Just wanted to give you a bit closer look at the dirt and dust bunnies that are in here. You can see all the stuff right there on the tachometer roller. Ugh. Lots of dust build up. That white cap right there is where we need to oil the capstan bearing at. So we're probably going to need to clean this out and get this head block off so we can get down in there and oil that and do some other things and definitely just clean all this junk out of here. Okay, I've been cleaning up in here a little bit. I just wanted to point out real fast that it's not a good idea to just come in here and spray compressed air down on these components or anything, because if you look real close here, you can see there's a little washer there on the capstan. This is where the capstan roller goes on. And you could easily just blow something like that off there. There's also these little rubber bumpers down in here too that if you got enough air under that, you could blow that out and lose it. So I've been going around with a cloth and a brush just trying to get everything out. I will wind up using a little compressed air on this, but I'm going to just, confine it to little sections. I'm probably going to have to pull out this roller. Definitely got to take out the head block. Probably pull this one out too. I'm probably going to take the cover off of this speaker to get the dust out of there. Just work it in sections. This will probably pop off at one point and I'll have to get under that. But I think that the logical thing to do right now is to just go through the Otari manual for setting this thing up. And the first thing in the manual is oiling the capstan shaft here. There's a bearing under this cover. In order to get there, you got to take these 3 little screws out. There's one back here too. Got to pull those up, pop this head block off. Ordinarily, You could probably just move this off and set it aside to get there, but I think I'm going to try to actually unplug this just so I can clean this separately and just to get in there really good and just clean all that junk out of there. Those feel like they've actually never been taken out of this thing. No one probably ever removed this. Now this head block should lift up. I think. Aha. Well, there you go. It has a connector on it. I didn't realize that. Well, that's good. Convenient, easy way to take this out and clean it separately now. But you can see that also gives us access to our capstan. Okay, according to the manual, we should be able to pop off this cover here. There's a little indentation. You can see there that there's a little indentation in it, little O-ring. So it says to remove that, remove the felt washer, which is here. There's the felt. Then it says to put 3 drops of oil, and there's a particular type of oil, which I'll show you in a minute, down in there right next to the capstan. 3 drops of oil when you first initialize it, and then I guess a drop of oil every 3 to 6 months, depending on how long you use it or how much you use it. I think I'm just gonna put 3 drops in it because I don't know how long it's been sitting up. Okay, a few words about the oil that's used on the Otari capstan. The part number for Otari's oil is PZ9E003. That oil is no longer available. At least I couldn't find any. I'm sure it's just sold out long ago. So the nearest thing I could find on the internet, doing some research on there, is that oil was either this stuff called Andorol 456, or it was very close to that. The Andorol 456, I could not actually find that either. I'm not sure if they still make that or not. It seems like they might, but it's like in 55-gallon drums. You can't find it in a small quantity like this. If you can, fine, get Andorol 456. Do not get Andorol 465. That's a different thing. It's not the same stuff. The Andorol 456 is it's an ISO VG32. If you want to Google that, you can look up what that's all about. There seems to be several kind of oils that fall in that category, and I don't know. I think that's a viscosity rating or something. I'm not even sure about that, but the thing I do know about it is that the oil is fully synthetic. You don't want to get anything that's a mineral oil based product because it will clash with the oil that's already in that bearing and it could gunk it up. So you don't want to do that. The nearest thing I could find on eBay is I found this stuff. It's this Lube V fully synthetic bearing oil, ISO VG32. You can see it right there. You can just look that up on eBay. This is a 2-ounce bottle. I put a little bit into this needle applicator bottle, and will literally last forever. I'm going to put a few drops of this into the capstan bearing. This bottle, if I can show you here, has a pretty small needle on it. It's actually a little bit too small for oil, so I'm probably going to put more than 3 drops, probably more like 4 drops in there. But just go easy on the oil. It doesn't need as much as you think it does. So anyways, this is what you want to try for lubing up your Otari capstans. Okay, tried to get you a nice overhead shot here for this. Just gonna get in there and put a few drops right at the base of where that bearing turns. That was basically 1 drop. That's it. I'm not gonna put any more than that. Like I said, this needle roller is a bit small for oil that thick, but that should do it. Just if it hasn't been used in a while, just 3 drops of that, and then 1 drop every 3 to 6 months, depending on machine usage. Okay, so I'm gonna put the felt back on. I don't think it matters. Okay. Okay. And that's all it takes to oil the capstan. And here's the state of the speaker. I'm going to take the cover off. Ew. Gross. Wow, a lot of dust. Good way to clean speaker cones. Feather duster. That appears to be really stuck on crap though. Alright. I think that I will have to use some compressed air. Wow, that's that's really gunked on there. Probably gonna have to use a little brush or something to clean that crap off there, but it'll be all right. This is just the internal speaker, so you can hear the tones and what might be running on tape if you want to hear it here at the unit, but it's really not necessary. And this is just a cheap piece of junk speaker that could be replaced with almost anything, but I'll try cleaning that off a little better. And that's much better looking right there. Here's a PDF of the MX55 manual, and this is basically the stuff I'm just going through to adjust this here. And here's 422. This is the real table height adjustment, and you can see that you need to take a measurement here in this diagram, 3.7 millimeters between the deck plate and the top of the reel table. I have measured that, and it's closer to 4.7 to 5 millimeters. I've actually gone through this and decided that I'm not gonna change that right now. I'm not gonna try to correct that because they're so low on this machine, even being about a millimeter taller than this measurement here, that the large flange reels, the 10-inch reels, are hitting the stand, the outside of the stand. So I think I'm just going to leave these adjusted like the way they are right now. I'm not going to take them back to factory spec. I will adjust those later if I need to. Okay, so if we take a look at this, the reel tables, like I said, they're about a millimeter higher than specification. And I measured from this. It's actually not this piece of the flange. There's a cutout right here. Then there's a higher piece here. And it's same back here. There's a small cutout, then a higher piece. And the measurement is between the higher piece and this. very difficult to measure. It's why I'm not actually showing it. But like I said, this is about a millimeter higher than specification in the manual, but I'm going to leave it because I'm going to show you why right now. We've got the NAB hub adapters now. Let's put that on. Get that in there. And then a large flange reel. And lock that in there. And as you can see right here in this area, this is the stand here basically. So I've got it adjusted now to where it's not touching, but this was touching, and there's barely any room right here. I mean, it's millimeters. And of course there'll be variances in each individual reel flange here. What I had to do to make this not touch though was I had to bend this piece of the stand down a little bit. So I don't want to drop the reel table down any more than what it is right now. I'm going to get everything else done and then just check the alignment to see how the tape winds up on these reels to see how if it's okay or not. If not, then I'll start messing with adjustments with that. There might be a way to get the stand versus the machine itself to like sort of line up better. I will say that right now the stand does not have all of the screws in it that it should because they were missing. So there might be a way to get the machine itself to raise up a bit to give more room under the flange. And a little telltale sign of what was happening is when I got the machine from the auction house, it had this one single reel adjusting disc on it. And I'm going to bet that's because when they put a large reel on a machine that it was hitting here. And the way the reel adjusting disc work is that this is just a little shim. It's about 30 thousandths thick that goes on there. And then you put your NAB hub back on like that. And put the reel back on, and that's going to give you a little more lift up, a little more clearance on that. So that's obviously something that they've already had trouble with in the past. So I'll just keep that thing nearby in case that happens to me too. But anyways, that's what I said. Let's move on to actually adjusting the tension on the reel brakes here. Okay, just to show you this a little more up close here in the manual, you can see that this is your spring scale, this is your reel, and this is the string wrapped around the reel. You can see that they're calling for a reel with a radius of 5 centimeters between the center of the hub and the outside of the hub portion, and this is supposed to be a 7-inch reel. But you would go clockwise on the take-up side and counterclockwise on the supply side here. And again, this is your spring scale. And you don't do this at the same time. You do one then the other, but it's just for illustration. But this is what you're looking for, 280 grams plus or minus 20 grams on that. And they're calling to do this several times because the spring scale is not super accurate. So you make several pulls on this and then calculate an average to see what you get. And that's all I'll explain in 423 here of the manual, the service manual. So let's do that. Now, the way that they want you to adjust the tension on the brakes on these reel tables is to put a large hub, 7-inch diameter reel on here. And by large hub, it has listed in the manual that it should be a 5 centimeter radius in the center. And then you wrap a 6-foot piece of string around that. And then you're going to pull on that with a spring scale, which I've got here. And I had to, of course, special order this thing. but you're looking for, when you pull on this, the tension on it, you're looking for 280 grams plus or minus 20 grams. So I'm looking at all the reels I have, and none of them have a 5 centimeter radius center until this showed up. Now this is the MRL alignment tape for this machine that I just bought, and when I popped it open, look what we have. 5 centimeter radius. So this is the proper large hub 7-inch reel that the manual refers to. Good thing is this tape is wound tail out on here, so they want you to rewind this off here anyways. So I'm going to go ahead and just rewind this off of here onto another reel and use this one as our reel to test the brakes. Okay, so I've actually reassembled the machine here enough to do that, so that's what I'm going to do next. Alright, now I've got the MRL tape rewound onto this side. I'll just store it here on this reel. Then we'll use this reel as the test reel for the reel brake. Okay, here's our 7-inch reel with 5 centimeter radius hub, and I've got a 6-foot long piece of string here per the instructions in the manual. And I'm just going to make a loop around this and wind it up. Just using Mason line here. And we'll test the take-up side first, which it had to go clockwise. I hope that's right. So put that on there like that. Let me get the spring scale. Here's a spring scale, and we're looking for 280 plus or minus 20 grams on it. The machine is turned off. I'm just gonna pull on this. It's gonna be hard to get that on camera, so, but we're way over 280. We're starting to move it more like 4 or something. Try that again with a little faster pull. Yeah, that's going off my scale, so that's definitely over 280. So let's test the other one. So that's too, the brake is too tight on there is what that would mean. So let's check this one. That one was clockwise. This one's counterclockwise. See what this does. Much the same story. That's moving at about 5. Actually, that one's going over 2. So that's also 2. The brake is too heavy. I'm just curious what the weight actually is. So I've got a little bit heavier weighted spring scale. That one, other one was 500. This one goes to 3 kilograms. This would be 3,000 grams. So let me test it with this one and see what the weight really is. Yeah, I'm getting closer to 750. I would say 650 on that. It's very it's very inconsistent. Let's try this one again. That one's right at 500. Yeah, that seems to be at 500. But anyways, they're both over, so we're gonna have to get in there and adjust that to get those to the proper tension. So the procedure to adjust the brake tension is to remove this wheel platter and check the state of the brake band itself. And in order to do that, you just remove these 3 screws. Okay, once you get those 3 screws out, you can lift that up. And then it says to push the brake towards push the solenoid in, which will, if you watch it, pushes out. This is the brake here. So it pushes out on that, and this should be freewheeling at that point. It shouldn't be touching at all. Okay. And now, obviously, when you release it, this spring here is putting tension on it to give us our proper tension. So we need to release this screw and adjust it away from the solenoid to lighten up the tension on that. Because this is right around 500. We needed it at 280. Okay, so I'm going to use a Phillips screwdriver. Just try to pull tension off that. I'm sure that this is not going to be an easy adjustment to make. Okay, I slid it a little bit. Still has tension. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the platter back on, throw my little rig back on there, and see what we have as far as the tension on it now. So I'm going to back this off some more. Okay, after a lot of trial and error, I think I got it adjusted. I'll be honest and say that's very much open to interpretation. These spring scales are just too unreliable to actually get a good reading on. And just in case you're wondering, I did calibrate this. I used a digital postal scale that's very accurate, and found exactly 280 grams, and then checked this with it, and it measured up exactly 280. So this is calibrated. But I did get this close. It's coming out between 280, 300. It does get hung a bit and goes up to like 350, but you're not going to be able to get it closer than that, I don't think. It's somewhat open to interpretation. Anyways, I'm going to do the other one off camera. You saw what the procedure was, so after that we'll move on to the next step. Okay, now that I've got both of the real brakes adjusted, I'm going to wind this MRL tape back onto its reel. That way we can also see how the machine behaves a little bit. And of course we will pull this MRL tape out later when we get to actually aligning the machine. I'm just checking how the machine is, how the real brakes seem to be handling it. I'm going to zero search now, and it should give me that that voice annotation of the 2 kilohertz reference reflexivity when I hit play. All right.
1 kilohertz at reference flexivity.
Or 1 kilohertz, excuse me. I'm going to fast forward again and try that one more time. Now I'm going to zero search, and it should say 1 kilohertz at reference flexivity if it found the same place. Play.
1 kilohertz at reference flexivity.
That's pretty good. Cool. All right, so now we'll move on to the next step. Okay, let's move on to the next thing. It's 424. That's the pinch roller adjustment. And basically, with this adjustment, we're going to take a 12-inch loop of string, loop it around the capstan pinch roller, and use the spring scale to pull it away from the capstan, to pull the pinch roller away from the capstan. And that should happen around 2 kilograms plus or minus 100 grams. And you can pause and read that if you want right there. So let's go do that. Okay, here goes a nice close-up of the capstan roller and the capstan. I have my 2 kilograms spring scale. I've already got the 12 inches of string wrapped around it. I'm going to hit the edit and play buttons to engage the capstan roller to the capstan. I'm starting to pull 1K, 1250, 750. Up, it's pull away right there. That's looks like 1900 to, it's 1900 to 2 kilograms. So I would say that was right on specification. Let's move on. Okay, the next segment is 425. That's tape lifter adjustment. And on this adjustment, we're basically looking for there to be a gap between the tape guide that is next to the record head and the tape, and that's got to be 1 to 1.5 millimeters, which is 0.04 to 0.06 inches. So I need to thread the machine with tape and put it in fast forward or rewind, and then check that gap. I'm just going to say this right now. I think that's going to be really hard to do because I'm not sure how I'm going to be able to get a tool in there to actually do that, but I'll try it. Okay, I've threaded the machine with tape here, and I found this little Allen key, and it measures 1.4 millimeters across. So this will be a good gauge, and I can actually probably get it in there. But what we're looking for is we're looking for a gap between the tape and this right here. I'm just kind of testing that right now to see how much gap that is that needs. But yeah, it's got to be 1 to 1.5 gap off of this tape guide. So I'm going to go ahead and throw it into fast forward and see what we get. Okay. As you can see, that's quite a lot more. So, yeah. Huh. Also, watch these. They seem really gummed up, actually. Look how slow they move. They're also making a creaking. That's weird. I don't think it's supposed to do that. It's very strange. Okay, I spent a few minutes looking at that, and yeah, it's definitely not adjusted right. It kicks it out way too far away. It's only supposed to be a millimeter and a half. And the way those are retracting, it's very strange. I think it's the way this mechanism works. There's the solenoid here is pushing those. Actually, it's retracting, which is causing those to push out. So there's a connection in the middle, and it has grease on it. And that grease is probably a bit gunked up. So I'm thinking I'm going to clean that out of there and then try to adjust this thing. But I'm going to go ahead and put it in fast forward one more time. And just notice how far away it kicks the tape out right here. Yeah, see how slow it moves back? It's strange. There's rewind. I'm going to... Yeah. Okay. So let me look at what I'm going to do with this. I think I'm probably going to have to take the head block off, get that gunk out of the mechanism, and then adjust it. Okay, so what I've done here is I've put a bunch of tape down to block the holes in the deck. I didn't want to lose a circular clip down there or anything. And I've taken this mechanism apart. Here's one of the tape lifter arms right here. It attaches here. Here's the other one. This is the arm that goes back to the servo. And just by messing with this a few minutes now, this has already loosened up quite a bit. So I suspect it just is gummed up a bit. There's not actually a whole lot of that grease on here. So I think what I'm going to do is just clean the residual grease off of it, then use some of the VG32 oil to oil it up. Then we'll put it back together and then adjust it for the proper 1 to 1.5 millimeters tape clearance. Putting a few drops of oil down in there. I'll do the same on this one here. Whoop. a little bit. So I'll put the C-clips back on there, and then we'll adjust it. Okay, head block's back on. Got tape threaded in the machine. And now we're going to look and see what our tape lifters do. This is the tape guide we're watching. We're going to see how far they lift the tape away from the tape guide. So let me put it in fast forward. That's still too far. Key thing is though, is you see how those reset just then. Let me go rewind and watch this one. Watch how it is. Remember how it was going before it just boop. It's like real fast now. So there it popped out. I'm going to rewind. And stop and watch it. See that? Just nice and quick. That's much better. But like I said, it's still, there's too much a gap in that. Remember, we only need 1 to 1.5 millimeters of gap in that, and that's much more. Whoa! Let me go fast forward. So yeah, it's going to come down like 2 or 3 millimeters. In order to do that, just need to release these 2 screws back here, which you can't see. This is the solenoid right here. So I'll get you a better shot of that. Okay, these are the 2 screws here that you have to release to slide the solenoid back and forth to get that gap adjusted. I'm not quite sure which way I need to go, so I'm just gonna pop them loose here. Yeah, those feel like they've never been adjusted. All right, I moved it forward a bit. I'm really not sure. I think that's the right way to go. Trying to get a halfway position there. Okay. All right, anyways, I'm gonna keep adjusting this until I got it adjusted right. Okay, take a look at it now. I'm gonna call that 1.5 millimeters. And you're looking right there. Whoa, did you guys just see what I saw? I'm going to play that clip again and look real closely at the tape lifter. As the tape's coming by that tape lifter, it's scrubbing the oxide off the top of that tape. I didn't notice it when I was working on it, but I'm sitting here editing now. I can clearly see that that's what's happening. So I'm going to have to pull that head block off again and look closer at that. Okay, here's a little bit closer look at the tape lifters. You can see there's a little slot machined out here for the tape to run against, and that is on both of them. But the tape is getting caught right up against that top edge, and it's scrubbing off the oxide. So I guess my question is, and I did hold a piece of tape up here to look at this, and the ATR tape is wider than this machine surface is here. So I figure that the top of the tape's just getting crammed up in there or something. It's not really riding in this groove. And I also noticed in some of the footage that the tape was a little bit low, such that it was hanging up right here on this guide. So I don't know if there is, an adjustment we can make. But I don't think the tape is going to ride in that groove either way. Like I said, it's ever so slightly wider than that groove. And I question even the need for that groove. Because keep in mind that this groove only functions whenever the tape is in fast forward or reverse. It's not even touching that whenever it's in play or record. So my first thoughts on it right now are, if there's a screw at the base of this lifter here that I can loosen, I can just rotate this around and just use the clean side of it. And, you know, I don't know. I even wonder if that was even put in there by the factory. I'm going to assume that it was. But I don't know. I don't want anything on there that's going to rub and scrape on my tape oxide. I don't think it'll be detrimental if I just rotate this around to put the flat spot somewhere else and just let the tape run on the smooth chrome. So I think I'm going to try to do that. I'm going to have to pull the head block off and everything. But so as you can see, all the tape had to come back. I hate doing things twice, but I want this thing to run right. I've got one of the lifters off here, so you can see that groove right there. And you can see, actually, if you look close there, I already scraped some off, but there's oxide deposits on the dang thing. And then, like I said, I tried to fit some tape across here. The camera's never going to focus on, maybe it will. But I feel like that's catching the bottom of the groove, but it's outside of the top. And then if I go down and catch the top of the groove right there, I mean, it just feels like the tape's very slightly wider than that. This is the ATR tape. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know why they would put something in there that's going to rub. I mean, you can see a piece of it right there. It's oxide's coming off. I don't know why they would put something in there that's going to scrub on your tape like that. Doesn't seem like a good idea. So this is held in with the screw, which you can see right there, hopefully. So if I just loosen that, actually rotate this around just so the tape runs on that, which is just a smooth chrome surface. I don't think that's going to hurt anything. I don't think the tape is suddenly going to fling up off this and fast forward. Now, I'm sure some of you are noting that I was talking about the reel platters being, or the reel tables being a millimeter higher. I don't think that should affect this setup, because you got to remember that you know your reel table's down here and your tape is coming around through this guide. It's going around the tachometer roller, it's going through the pinch roller, and then there's a guide on the tape guide on the head block, another tape guide on the head block, and a third tape guide, and then around all this stuff. So the tape, by the time it gets to these tape lifters, I don't see that this reel table being a millimeter higher is going to affect it that much. I feel like that maybe, I don't know, is tape wider now? Is the ATR tape just wider than an old tape? And like I said, I'm assuming this is factory, but I guess if you ran some type of tape in this for years on end, that it could actually cut a groove like that in there. I'm going to assume that was done at the factory, though. But anyways, I'm going to try to loosen this and spin this around. So yeah, that was actually relatively easy to do that. So here are the two. There's the groove. I just turned them to the back. They go like that in the machine. If you have a lot more experience with these machines than I do, maybe let me know about that. But I'm going to try to run it like this. I don't think it's going to have any effect on it. If it does so happen that the tape just whooshes off this and fast forward or reverse, then I'll just spin them back around. No harm, no foul. It's good. I'll get that spring back on there, but that should mean that I don't. Yeah, because those are completely in the back now, so they're not going to touch the tape. Cool. Okay, here's the tape threaded back to the machine. And I'm taking a careful look at where this tape's guided to, and I don't know, it really looks straight to me. I don't see that there's a big problem with that being off in the vertical direction. Gonna hit play. Let some actual tape come through just so I can look at it. I mean, it seems really stable and right where it's supposed to be. I don't really see an issue with it. So I'm gonna go ahead and go into fast forward, and I guess just keep an eye on that and see if it's scrubbing oxide off the tape. We'll stop. Man, it looks good to me.